the impossible choice. Nina Torres stood in the hospital corridor, her architect's hands, usually so steady when drafting blueprints, trembling as she gripped the medical estimate. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead, indifferent to the number that blurred before her eyes. $180,000. The words, experimental cardiac procedure, and not covered by insurance seemed to leap off the page. Mocking her, her mother Rosa lay in room 304, her once vibrant spirit dimmed by the rare heart condition that was slowly shutting down her body. The doctors had been clear. Without this new surgery, developed by specialists in Germany, she had 6 months at most. With it, she could live another 20 years. Nina had spent 2 weeks exhausting every option. Bank loans denied, credit cards maxed, crowdfunding campaigns that barely raised $5,000. Her savings account, carefully built over 4 years of working at Holloway Architecture Group, held just $22,000. She had called distant relatives, reached out to her father's old friends, even considered selling her small apartment. Nothing came close to what she needed. The worst part was watching her mother pretend to be brave. Rosa would smile and say things like, "Mija, don't worry so much. God has a plan." But Nina had seen her mother crying when she thought no one was watching, had heard her whispered prayers in Spanish, begging for more time to see her daughter married, to meet grandchildren she might never know. That evening, Nina returned to the office at 8, long after most employees had left. She had been working on the Riverside Plaza project, a luxury condominium development that would make the firm millions. Her designs had transformed Marcus Holloway's vision into something extraordinary, a building that seemed to grow organically from the waterfront, all curves and light. Marcus was still in his corner office, as usual. The man never seemed to sleep. At 38, he had built an empire from nothing, turning distressed properties into architectural marvels. He was handsome in a sharp-edged way, with dark eyes that missed nothing and a reputation for being absolutely merciless in business. People whispered that he had ice water in his veins, that he valued profit over people, that he had once fired an entire department the week before Christmas. Nina had worked directly under him for 2 years, and while he was demanding, she had never found him cruel. Exacting, yes. Intimidating, certainly. But there were moments when she caught glimpses of something else, a flash of dry humor during presentations. The way he quietly donated to children's charities, how he remembered every employee's name despite having over 200 people in the company. She knocked on his door, her heart pounding so hard she wondered if he could hear it. "Come in." His voice carried that characteristic authority that made junior architects straighten their spines. Nina entered to find him reviewing her. Riverside Designs, his sleeves rolled up, tie loosened. He looked up, and something in her expression made him set down his pen immediately. "Nina, what's wrong?" The concern in his voice nearly broke her. She had rehearsed this conversation 100 times, but now the words stuck in her throat. Finally, she forced them out. "Mr. Holloway, I need to discuss my compensation. I've been with the firm for 2 years, and my work on the Riverside project alone has brought in projected revenues of $15 million. I'm requesting a significant salary adjustment." Marcus leaned back in his leather chair, studying her with those penetrating eyes. Several long seconds passed. "You've never asked for a raise before. You're one of my best architects, Nina. Your work speaks for itself." He paused. "But you didn't stay late to negotiate your salary. Something else is driving this. What's really going on?" The question, delivered without judgment but with unexpected gentleness, shattered her carefully maintained composure. Tears spilled down her cheeks before she could stop them. "My mother is dying. She needs surgery that costs $180,000, and I have nowhere else to turn. I've tried everything, Mr. Holloway. Everything. I just need enough to save her life." Marcus stood slowly, walked to his bar cart, and poured 2 glasses of scotch. He offered one to her, and she took it with shaking hands. "How much time does she have?" "The doctors say we need to schedule the surgery within 3 weeks, or—" Nina couldn't finish the sentence. Marcus moved to the window, looking out at the city lights. When he turned back, his expression was unreadable. "I could write you a check right now for that amount. It wouldn't even register in my monthly expenses." He paused. and something dark flickered across his face. "But I didn't build this empire by giving charity to employees who asked nicely." Nina's stomach dropped. She had been a fool to come here to think. "However," Marcus continued, "I'm willing to make you an offer. A transaction, if you will." He moved closer, stopping a few feet away. His next words came out quiet, but absolutely clear. "Spend one night with me, one evening, completely private. In exchange, I'll pay for your mother's entire surgery, plus an additional $30,000 for her recovery expenses. Tomorrow, we return to our professional relationship as if nothing happened. You'll also receive the raise you deserve because your work has earned it." The room seemed to spin. Nina stared at him, unable to process what she was hearing. This man, whom she had respected, admired even, had just propositioned her like she was something that could be bought. "That's," she started, her voice shaking with anger and disbelief. "Despicable? Probably," Marcus said flatly. "But it's honest. I'm attracted to you, Nina. I have been since the day you presented your first design and argued with me for 20 minutes about structural integrity. You're brilliant and passionate and, yes, beautiful. I'm offering you a choice. A terrible choice, I admit, but a choice nonetheless. You're asking me to prostitute myself. I'm asking if you're willing to trade one night for your mother's life. I won't pretend it's anything noble. But I will be clear about the terms. The money transfers to your account before anything happens. You can leave at any moment. And this never affects your career here, regardless of your decision." Nina felt bile rise in her throat. Every fiber of her being screamed to throw the scotch in his face and storm out, to tell him exactly what kind of monster he was. But then she thought of her mother's face, of Rosa's dreams of seeing her daughter happy, of all the sacrifices her mother had made raising her alone after her father died. "I need time to think," she whispered. "You have until tomorrow at 5. After that, the offer disappears and we never speak of this again." Nina left his office on unsteady legs, took the elevator down 40 floors, and walked out into the cool night air. She called the hospital and spoke with her mother's nurse. Rosa was sleeping fitfully, her heart monitor showing irregular rhythms that made the medical staff nervous. That night, Nina didn't sleep. She paced her small apartment, weighing her soul against her mother's life. She thought about morality, about dignity, about whether some prices were too high to pay. But every time she closed her eyes, she saw her mother's face. At 4:45 the next afternoon, Nina walked back into Marcus Holloway's office. Her hands were steady now, her decision made. "I accept your offer," she said clearly. "But I have conditions. This happens once. You transfer the money before anything else. And if you use this against me afterward, I'll destroy you and your company. I'll go to every media outlet, every professional board. I'll make sure everyone knows what kind of man you really are." Marcus studied her for a long moment, something unreadable in his expression. "Agreed. The money will be in your account within the hour. I'll text you an address. 8 o'clock tonight." He paused. "Nina, you should know, you can still change your mind. Even after you arrive. I meant what I said about that." She nodded once and left without another word. By 6 o'clock, her bank account showed $210,000. Nina called the hospital immediately and spoke with the surgical coordinator. Her mother's procedure was scheduled for the following morning. Rosa cried with joy and relief, asking Nina how she had managed to find the money so quickly. "I just got a bonus at work, Mama," Nina lied, the words tasting like ash. "Everything's going to be okay now." At 7:30, Nina stood in front of her bathroom mirror, wearing a simple navy dress. She barely recognized the woman staring back at her, someone who had just sold something precious for the chance to keep her mother alive. As she called a car to take her to the address Marcus had sent, Nina made herself a promise. She would survive this night with her dignity intact. She would do what needed to be done, and tomorrow, somehow, she would find a way to live with the choice she had made. The car pulled up to a modern glass building in the city's most exclusive neighborhood. Nina took a deep breath, stepped out into the evening air, and walked toward a door that would change everything. The unexpected night. The elevator rose silently to the penthouse, each floor adding weight to Nina's chest. She watched the numbers climb, 30, 40, 50. and wondered if she could still turn around. The doors opened directly into Marcus's private residence, and what she saw made her pause. She had expected cold luxury, the kind of sterile perfection that wealthy men use to intimidate. Instead, warm amber lighting illuminated a space filled with unexpected touches, bookshelves overflowing with worn paperbacks, architectural models on every surface, and walls covered with photographs of buildings from around the world. Through floor-to-ceiling windows, the city sparkled like scattered diamonds. Marcus stood by those windows, no longer in his work suit but wearing dark jeans and a simple gray sweater. He looked younger somehow, less like the corporate titan and more like an ordinary man. When he turned, Nina saw something in his face she had never noticed before. Uncertainty. "You came," he said quietly, as if he genuinely hadn't expected her to follow through. "I keep my promises, Mr. Holloway." "Marcus, please. Tonight, can we just be Marcus and Nina, not boss and employee?" He gestured toward a couch where wine and cheese had been set out. "Will you sit? I'd like to talk first if that's all right." Nina sat carefully on the edge of the sofa, every muscle tense. Marcus poured wine but took a chair across from her rather than sitting beside her. The distance felt deliberate, respectful even. "I need to tell you something," he began, his usual confidence stripped away. 3 years ago, I was married. Her name was Catherine. Nina's surprise must have shown on her face because Marcus gave a bitter smile. Not many people know. "We kept it quiet. She preferred it that way," she said. "Catherine was beautiful, charming, everything I thought I wanted. We met at a gallery opening. She pursued me, actually. Made me feel like maybe someone could want me for who I was, not what I had." He took a long drink of wine. 2 months after the wedding, I came home early from a business trip. Found her in our bedroom with her personal trainer. When I confronted her, she didn't even pretend to be sorry. She told me she had never loved me, that I was just a meal ticket, that I was so desperate for affection, I made it embarrassingly easy. The raw pain in his voice made Nina's anger soften slightly. She began to understand something of the damaged man sitting before her. "The divorce cost me $40 million, but that wasn't the worst part," Marcus continued. "The worst part was realizing I had been so lonely, so starved for genuine connection, that I completely missed obvious red flags. After that, I promised myself I would never be fooled again. I would see every relationship for what it really was, a transaction. At least then, I'd know where I stood." "So you decided to make everything transactional," Nina said slowly, "including this." "I made you an offer that was fundamentally wrong," Marcus admitted, finally meeting her eyes. "But in my twisted logic, I thought at least it would be honest. No pretense, no lies about feelings, just a clear exchange." He set down his glass and leaned forward. "But Nina, I need you to know something. After you left my office yesterday, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the desperation in your eyes, the way you were willing to sacrifice yourself for someone you love. That kind of selfless love. I haven't seen it in so long I'd forgotten it existed." "That doesn't make what you did right," Nina said, though her voice lacked the fury she had felt earlier. "No, it doesn't. Which is why the money I transferred. It's yours regardless of what happens tonight. Your mother's surgery is paid for. The additional funds are for her recovery. If you want to leave right now, you can. I won't be angry, won't make your life at work difficult. You'll still get your raise because you've earned it professionally." Nina stared at him, trying to understand. "Then why am I here? Why go through with any of this?" Marcus stood and walked back to the window, his silhouette outlined against the city lights. When he spoke, his voice was barely above a whisper. "Because somewhere between yesterday and today, I realized I don't want a transaction. I want something I haven't had in years, an honest conversation with someone who sees me as human. You're here because I'm hoping, maybe foolishly, that we could spend this evening just talking, getting to know each other as people, not as boss and employee. not as rich man and desperate woman. Just Marcus and Nina. He turned back to face her, and the vulnerability in his expression was startling. I'm so tired of being alone, Nina, of going weeks without anyone asking me how I'm really doing, of attending charity galas where everyone wants my money, but no one wants to know about the nightmares I have, or the books I love, or why I became an architect in the first place. His voice cracked slightly. I've built an empire, but I live in a prison of my own making. And when you walked into my office yesterday, so honest in your desperation, I saw someone who was real. I just handled it in the worst possible way. Nina felt something shift inside her. She thought about leaving, about taking the money and pretending this night never happened. But curiosity held her there. Curiosity about this man who hid such loneliness beneath his corporate armor. Tell me why you became an architect, she said quietly. Relief flooded Marcus's face. He returned to his chair, and for the next hour he talked. He told her about growing up in foster care, bouncing between homes that didn't want him, about a high school teacher named Mr. Peterson who had taken him, to see Frank Lloyd Wright's Falling Water and changed his entire life. I realized buildings could be more than just structures, Marcus explained, his eyes lighting up in a way Nina had never seen at work. They could be shelter for people who needed protection like I did. They could be beautiful things in a harsh world. Architecture became my way of creating the stable homes I never had. Nina found herself relaxing, drawn into his story. She shared her own history, immigrating from Mexico at age 8, her father's death when she was 16, how her mother had worked 3 jobs to put her through architecture school. That's why design matters so much to you, Marcus said with understanding. You're not just creating buildings, you're creating the opportunities your family fought so hard to give you. Exactly, Nina breathed, surprised he grasped it so completely. They talked about their favorite structures, about the responsibility architects bore to communities, about the beauty of sustainable design. Marcus showed her his personal sketches, rough drawings he did at night when he couldn't sleep. They were brilliant, full of organic forms and natural light, nothing like the commercial projects his company built. Why don't you design anymore? Nina asked, studying a particularly beautiful concept for a library. Because designing requires vulnerability, Marcus said softly. It requires putting your vision out into the world and risking that people will reject it. After Catherine, I couldn't handle any more rejection. So I hid behind business deals and profit margins. Nina set down the sketch and looked at him directly. That's the saddest thing I've ever heard. You have so much talent, Marcus. Hiding. It away doesn't protect you. It just makes the prison smaller. Something passed between them in that moment. Recognition, understanding, a connection neither had anticipated. Marcus reached out slowly and took her hand, his touch gentle. You're remarkable, Nina Torres. Your mother is lucky to have you. And you're not the monster you think you are, Nina replied, squeezing his hand. A real monster wouldn't have given me the choice to leave, wouldn't have spent the evenings sharing his pain with someone he barely knows. Marcus moved closer, still holding her hand. I want to know everything about you. Not because I paid for the privilege, but because talking with you tonight has been the most real conversation I've had in 3 years. Is that crazy? Maybe, Nina admitted. But I understand loneliness too. I've spent so long taking care of my mother that I forgot how to let anyone take care of me. I go months without anyone asking what I need, what I dream about beyond my family obligations. What do you dream about? Marcus asked softly. Designing a building that matters, something that serves a community that needs it, not just wealthy people who can afford luxury. I want to create spaces where immigrant families like mine can gather, where kids can be safe, where people feel like they belong. That's beautiful, Marcus said, and the admiration in his voice was genuine. Why haven't you pitched something like that to the firm? Because I assumed you only cared about profit. I did, for a long time. but maybe it's time I remembered why I started this company in the first place." He stood and pulled her gently to her feet. "Come with me, I want to show you something." Marcus led her to his private study, where an entire wall was covered with plans for a community center he had apparently been designing in secret. Nina studied the drawings with growing excitement. This was exactly the kind of project she had dreamed about. "This is incredible," she breathed. "Why haven't you built it?" "Because I've been too afraid to care about something this much. Too afraid it would fail or people would criticize it. Or," he trailed off, then added quietly, "or that it would reveal too much of who I really am." Nina turned to face him, and suddenly they were standing very close. The air between them felt charged with possibility, not the transactional encounter she had steeled herself for, but something far more complicated and real. "Marcus," she said softly, "I think you're afraid of the wrong things." When he kissed her, it wasn't demanding or presumptuous. It was a question, tentative and gentle. Nina answered by leaning into him, and the kiss deepened into something that felt like discovery rather than transaction. They moved back to the living room, talking between kisses, learning each other not through obligation but through genuine curiosity. When Marcus finally asked if she wanted to stay, his voice was uncertain, offering her the choice without pressure. Nina said yes, not because of their agreement or the money, but because something unexpected had bloomed between them in those hours of honest conversation. She fell asleep in his arms, and for the first time in weeks, neither of them felt alone. Building something real. Nina woke to golden morning light streaming through unfamiliar windows and the rich aroma of coffee. For a disorienting moment, she couldn't remember where she was. Then the previous night came flooding back, not with shame or regret, but with something she hadn't expected. Hope. Marcus appeared in the doorway carrying a breakfast tray, wearing reading glasses she had never seen him use at work. The sight of him looking so domestic, so unguarded, made her heart skip. "Good morning," he said with a shy smile that transformed his usually stern features. "I wasn't sure how you take your coffee, so I brought options." "Black is perfect," Nina said, accepting the cup gratefully. She checked her phone and saw multiple messages. "My mother's surgery started 20 minutes ago." "I know. Dr. Reeves texted me an update at 6:30. "Everything is proceeding exactly as planned." Marcus sat on the edge of the bed, maintaining a respectful distance. "Nina, about last night—" "Don't," she interrupted gently. "Don't analyze it or apologize for it. What happened was complicated and messy and more honest than anything I've experienced in years. I don't regret it." Relief washed over his face. "I don't regret it either, but I don't want it to end here. Not like this. Not with you walking away and us pretending it never happened." He took a breath, vulnerability written in every line of his body. "I'd like to see you again, not as your employer, not through some arrangement, but as two people who apparently have more in common than we realized. Would you be willing to give me that chance?" Before Nina could answer, her phone rang. The hospital. Her hands trembled as she accepted the call, and Marcus moved closer, his presence a quiet comfort. "Ms. Torres, this is Dr. Reeves. I'm pleased to tell you that your mother's surgery was completely successful. The cardiac repair exceeded our expectations. With proper care and rehabilitation, Rosa should make a full recovery." Nina's tears came fast and overwhelming. Marcus wrapped his arms around her as she sobbed with relief, holding her as if she were something precious. When she finally composed herself, she found him watching her with an expression that made her chest ache. "Thank you," she whispered, "for everything. You saved your mother through your own courage." "Nina, I just provided the means." They spent the morning talking more, sharing coffee and stories, until Nina reluctantly said she needed to get to the hospital. Marcus offered his driver, but she declined, needing time alone to process everything that had happened. "I'll call you," he promised at the door. "Not as your boss, as Marcus." Nina returned to work 3 days later, after ensuring her mother was stable and beginning recovery. Walking into Holloway Architecture Group felt surreal. Everything looked the same, yet everything had changed. She threw herself into the Riverside project, maintaining strict professionalism whenever she encountered Marcus in meetings. But beneath that surface, Something was growing between them. Marcus would text her late at night, sharing architectural articles or asking about her mother's progress. They began meeting for coffee before work hours, sitting in a quiet cafe where no colleagues would see them, talking about everything except the office. "I feel like I'm in high school again," Nina admitted one morning, stirring her cappuccino. "Sneaking around, afraid someone will find out." "We don't have to hide," Marcus said seriously. "I know it's complicated with the work situation, but I don't want to keep you a secret, Nina. You're the best thing that's happened to me in years." "And risk everyone thinking I slept my way to success? That every project I win is because of you?" Nina shook her head. "I've worked too hard to have my reputation destroyed by office gossip." Marcus reached across the table and took her hand. "Then I'll remove the power imbalance. I've been thinking about it anyway. Maybe it's time I stepped back from daily operations. I could focus on design again, start building projects that matter instead of just profitable ones." 2 months passed in this strange double life. At work, they were consummate professionals. Outside the office, they explored the city together, visiting architectural sites, attending underground jazz clubs, cooking dinner in his penthouse while debating the merits of brutalism. Nina felt herself falling for him in ways that terrified and thrilled her. Her mother noticed the change immediately when Nina visited the rehabilitation center. "Mia, you're glowing," Rosa said, studying her daughter with knowing eyes. "There's a man, isn't there?" Nina tried to deflect, but her mother was relentless. "Tell me about him. Is he good to you? Does he make you laugh?" "He does, Mama. He's complicated and brilliant and damaged in some of the same ways I am. But he sees me, really sees me, in a way no one else ever has." "Then why do you look worried?" Rosa asked perceptively. "Because it's complicated. The situation we're in, people might not understand how we got here." Her mother took her hand with surprising strength. "Nina, listen to me. I didn't fight through immigration, through poverty, through your father's death, so that you could live your life worried about what other people think. If this man is good to you, if he respects you and makes you happy, nothing else matters. Life is too short to hide love." Meanwhile, at the office, tensions were rising. Jennifer Wu, a senior architect who had worked at the firm for 5 years, had been watching Marcus and Nina carefully. She noticed the way his eyes followed Nina during meetings, how he sought out her opinions first, the subtle changes in his demeanor when she was around. Jennifer cornered Nina in the bathroom one afternoon. "Whatever is going on between you and Holloway, you should be careful," she said, her tone a mixture of concern and warning. "Office romances never end well, especially when there's such a power imbalance. If this goes south, you'll be the one who suffers, not him." "I don't know what you're talking about," Nina deflected, but her burning cheeks betrayed her. "Please, I've been watching you two for weeks. Just be smart about it. Men like Marcus Holloway don't change their spots. He'll protect his interests before yours every time." The warning haunted Nina. That evening, she met Marcus at his penthouse, but her usual ease was gone. "What's wrong?" he asked immediately, reading her mood. "Jennifer knows, or suspects at least. And she's not wrong about the risks, Marcus. If this becomes public, my career is over. Every achievement will be questioned. Every project will be seen as a favor from my lover." Marcus set down his wine glass and pulled her close. "Then I'll fix it. Tomorrow, I'm announcing my resignation from daily operations. I'm creating a new division focused on sustainable community architecture, and I'm stepping away from hiring and promotion decisions. You'll report to a different supervisor. The power imbalance will be gone." "You can't restructure your entire company because of me," Nina protested. "I'm not doing it just for you. I'm doing it for me too." He cupped her face in his hands. "You were right that night in my study. I've been hiding behind profit margins and business deals because I was afraid to be vulnerable again. But you've reminded me why I started this company, to create spaces that matter, to build things that help people. I want to be that person again. And yes, I want to be with you without any shadows or questions about impropriety." 3 months after that first impossible night, Marcus held a company-wide meeting. He announced his organizational restructuring, his new focus on community-oriented projects, and his plan to mentor young architects in underserved areas. The staff responded with genuine enthusiasm. Many had joined the firm hoping to do meaningful work, not just chase luxury contracts. After the meeting, Marcus asked Nina to stay behind. When the conference room emptied, he took both her hands. "I have one more announcement, but this one is just for you." He took a deep breath. "I'm in love with you, Nina Torres. I love your passion for design, your dedication to your family, the way you challenge me to be better. I love that you see past my money to the person underneath, and I want everyone to know it. If you'll let me," Nina felt tears prick her eyes. "People will still talk. They'll assume the worst about how this started. Let them talk. Anyone who knows you, who's seen your work, will know the truth. You're the most talented architect in this firm, and that has nothing to do with me." He smiled. "Besides, I've been thinking about your dream. Designing buildings for communities that need them. What if we did it together? What if your brilliant ideas and my resources could actually change things? You want to work with me? I want to partner with you in every sense. Professionally, personally, in whatever way you'll have me. I know this started in the worst possible way, but Nina, I believe we can build something real from that broken foundation. Something honest and beautiful and worth fighting for." Nina thought about her mother's words, about life being too short to hide love. She thought about the man Marcus had revealed himself to be, not the cold businessman, but the vulnerable soul who had been hiding behind walls for so long. She thought about the future they could build together, creating spaces that mattered for people who needed them. "Yes," she said simply. "Yes to all of it." When Marcus kissed her, it felt like a beginning rather than a continuation. They had started in darkness and desperation, but they had found their way to something genuine. The following week, they went public with their relationship. As predicted, there was gossip and speculation, but there was also support from unexpected places. Jennifer Wu, despite her earlier warnings, defended Nina's talent fiercely to anyone who questioned her achievements. Rosa, recovered enough to attend office events, charmed everyone with her stories of Nina's childhood determination. 6 months later, Nina stood before the City Planning Commission, presenting designs for the Esperanza Community Center, a project she and Marcus had developed together. It would provide after-school programs, ESL classes, affordable co-working spaces, and community gathering areas for the neighborhood where she had grown up. Marcus sat in the audience, watching her present with obvious pride. When the commission approved the project unanimously, he was the first to stand and applaud. That evening, on the terrace where they had first really kissed, Marcus pulled out a small velvet box. "Before you say anything, I want you to know this isn't about the money, or obligation, or any of that," he began, his usual confidence shaken by nerves. "This is about choosing you every day, about building a life together that honors both of our dreams. Nina Torres, will you marry me?" Nina looked at the man who had started as an impossible proposition and become her greatest partner. She thought about the winding path that had brought them here, about how something that began in desperation had transformed into the most honest relationship she had ever known. "Yes," she said, and when they kissed, the city lights sparkled around them like a promise of all the beautiful things they would build together. Their story had started with a price, but it had become priceless, a testament to the truth that even from the darkest beginnings, love could bloom if two people were brave enough to be honest, vulnerable, and real with each other. The Esperanza Community Center opened 2 years later, a soaring structure of light and sustainable materials that served thousands of families. On the dedication plaque, 2 names appeared as lead architects, Nina Torres Holloway and Marcus Holloway. They had built something that mattered, together. And that made all the difference, the end.